And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome to your LSU Football Fix presented by Celebrity Theaters. Join with me as always each and every Monday at 8 p.m. or in tonight's case 8:10 p.m. on the TigerBait Facebook and YouTube channel is publisher at Sports Illustrated, LSU Country on Sports Illustrated, I should say, Zack Nagy. Zack, is your day going any less chaotic than mine is?
Look, Preston's going through it on his end over there, man. He's got a sick young one. Discombobulated over there, but hey, we're here a couple minutes late, but Preston's got us here. He's carrying it, kind of holding it down for us. On my end, a little under the weather over here. I think everybody is feeling it a little bit right now. It's going around. But hey, we're here. We got a live show. We got a lot to talk about. Got some portal buzz going on with LSU. Nothing short with Lane Kiffin. So a lot to talk about. Chaotic, kind of off and on the field.
And guys, like he said, my kid has a very high fever right now. Wife's still recovering. We have a newborn at the house. It's a lot. I'm working on about 90 minutes of sleep tonight. And of course, busy portal season, updating the board and working hard on that. So if we seem a little miscombobulated tonight, it's because I am miscombobulated, and I'm going to ask y'all to work with me a little bit tonight. We're still going to have some fun with it, of course. There's plenty of names to talk about. There's plenty of people entering the portal. Lots of drama around these guys in the portal. I do have a little side nugget for Mr. Bill Connolly at ESPN. Zach, do you know what I'm talking about when I say that name?
I know who he is because I use his SP Plus.
For some
content, but I don't know what he could have. Oh,
he put.
Okay, no. No need to explain. I got you now.
They're talking about my baby tonight. I will always defend this team's honor. Anyways, but yeah, we'll go and we'll talk about guys entering the portal, what LSU needs. I also want tonight, being that in the last 7 days there hasn't been as much hard-hitting news as previous weeks, I haven't got to comments in a long time, basically. I mean, basically the last month has been, if you get a super chat in, great. Otherwise, I can't talk to you. In fact, we had one guy on last week who super chatted like 12 times, basically just to tell us how much he dislikes Frank Wilson. So, it's been a lot of that. So, before I'm going to get to a string of comments, I'm going to open up with a little bit of a rant. Let's just knock out our first advertiser of the night, Celebrity Theaters, who, of course, is the title sponsor of our show. Guys, Celebrity Theaters is Louisiana's only locally owned and operated theater with locations in Ruston and Baton Rouge. Because they're locally owned and operated, you're going to be guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology. Of course, the Baton Rouge location has an invigorating arcade featuring over 50 games, making it the largest in town. Oversized leather reclining seats and the Dolby Atmos 3D sound system. Guys, they have weekly specials going on to save you money. Senior Savings Day on Monday, Bargain Tuesday, half-priced arcades and college night on Wednesday, and Thirsty Thursday at the Baton Rouge location. Guys, they can do private events for you, corporate arcade party, kid's birthday party, taking a class out somewhere. Guys, they're there to take care of you. Events at celebritytheaters.com. I got to say, I'm pretty excited. They opened Bistro Italia next door, and boy, good pizza, good Italian stuff. They don't pay to advertise the show or anything. I'm just telling you, it's pretty cool to get a nice restaurant like that right next door. That being said, let's get to some comments. Mark Cumby, appreciate you guys for keeping us updated on LSU, everything LSU. Hey, man, always. Hit like, beat Mike. If you know, you know. Hit like button, guys. Fire 3449. Look, man, Big Train Kiffin's just here for negative Nagy.
We're doing better, man. The regular season's over. No more negative Nagy.
All right, you want to make the nickname go hard. If LSU had to start the season with the current roster, what's their record next year? With the current roster, no one's entering or leaving the portal.
It's a great question. I mean,
no, it's not. It's a horrible question. That's a terrible question.
No, it's a fair question. Is Charlie Weiss Jr. the OC?
Mm-hmm.
I just give him.
But Michael Van Buren is the quarterback, and that's the only quarterback.
6-6.
I think that's generous. Because you need a ton on the O-line. Maybe 5-7, 6-6. I was going to say 4-8. But maybe I'm just being a little negative guy there. But chef cooking, that's what we roll with, baby. Let's see here. Who will be the D-line coach? Can LSU recruit NOLA without Frank Wilson? That's actually a very good question. It looks like Elijah Robinson's kind of getting a little cold turtle with it, huh? I mean, it looks like he was set to take the job. Something's gone astray, and it's been real quiet on that front. Have you heard anything in the last 3-4 days on that front?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I mean, not this previous Saturday, but the Saturday before, a Football Scoop had come out and kind of saying splash secured. And I think a lot of other people on the LSU beat were also kind of hearing, hey, this is kind of getting towards the finish line, not quite over. And then you started to see LSU trend for Elijah Robinson.
Yeah.
Let's become this next defensive line coach. And ultimately, Nebraska got involved. Penn State got involved behind the scenes. There were a lot of schools that really started to push for Elijah Robinson. And it seems like LSU is kind of fading when it comes to him becoming that next defensive line coach. And when you look at kind of backup plans, it gets a little interesting. There's not that many names that are out there on the market right now. I think everybody wants to talk about Ed Orgeron and trying to throw that in there, right? I'm sure that's what Preston was going to say. But, I mean, look, if you're going to kind of talk about options, he certainly should be one of them.
Although he's like talking his way out of the market at this point, isn't he?
A little bit. And that's where it gets a little
We used to use the back door, boy.
I thought that was awesome. But when you're talking about, like, legally and all these other things, sure, it's not the best thing that you want to hear. And the second question, can LSU recruit NOLA without Frank Wilson? Yes.
Oh, come on.
LSU sells itself.
Come on.
And at the end of the day, you're always going to have that pipeline to Edna Carr. You're always going to have these pipelines within these New Orleans kind of schools. So LSU sells itself, man. I could never sit back and say that one person is the sole reason why LSU recruits New Orleans so well. But, of course, Frank Wilson really does give you a boost in that category. You cannot take away and kind of hide the fact that he's an elite level recruiter and he's a relationships-based guy. I spoke with Xavier Thomas about it a couple of weeks back, and he talked about just what he does for this team and this program. So, yeah, they can recruit without Frank Wilson and NOLA, but it certainly helps to have him on staff just because of the relationships that he does have.
You got to lock down NOLA. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know how many people Carr had signed D1?
Man, what was it, like 17? Like
15 Division I.
Astronomical number.
And you wonder why they haven't lost a game in 2 years. 27 straight.
Yep.
For Edna Carr. Bryce Brown and company. I mean, look, I understand that's a traditional powerhouse. Still, incredible job. Of course, LSU's getting Big Rich to come to town, 5-star defensive tackle. But yes, LSU should be able to recruit New Orleans no matter who the coach is. New Orleans ties help. You might lose a kid or two that you wouldn't have with those New Orleans ties. But, I mean, look, guys, you're going to lock it down. Go get a coach who can recruit. Get a few guys with Louisiana ties. It always is a plus, but in terms of telling Lane Kiffin who he needs to hire and his staff, it's always good to recommend a guy. And look, I'm of the mindset that if it's not, what's his name? Kevin Smith, the running back coach of Ole Miss, who he knows very well and very likely would bring Keywan Lacey with him. Yeah, sure. Retain Frank because I think he has done some things very well, but I don't think he's such a good coach that you have to dictate terms to your head football coach who you're paying $13 million a year to make a decision. D-line coach, I think Elijah Robinson or Coach O are kind of the two guys still up in the air, but again, very quiet. They gave the verbiage for when they broke the Elijah Robinson story, the expected verbiage, which usually means it's going to go through, but it means ain't nothing done yet. So we will see on that. Very good question there, Dell Focus. Let's see here. Of course, Hal Jubin's popping in with us. Yes, they have locked down New Orleans before. Here's another one. Chris Kiffin. I think it's been a while since Chris Kiffin was a full-time on-the-field coach. I don't think he's actually been a full-time coach since he got a show cause in 2017. Let's see here.
Man, now you got me wanting to ask you about, I mean, since we're talking about Frank Wilson and talking about, potential movement on the staff, What are your thoughts? I mean, when it comes to Austin Thomas going over to Ole Miss, is that something that you hit on later, or you kind of want to dive into that right now?
I have talked to people who've worked closely with Austin Thomas, and I'm told he's incredible. In fact, I thought that I misread the beef with Austin Thomas and Lane Kiffin. I thought it was just that the fact that Austin Thomas left for LSU, that Lane Kiffin was mad at him for leaving, and then there was some strife over that. No, apparently the strife was longer lasting than that, and first thing Lane Kiffin did was replace him with Billy Glasscock. Yeah, I'm not nuts over sending Austin Thomas packing, but ultimately the GM can't go out there and call plays for you, I mean, and Billy Glasscock did do a good job assembling teams at Ole Miss. He helped put the team together. The same program is there in place. It's not like I love that particular move, but ultimately your GM has to work well with your head football coach, and Lane Kiffin is the football coach I wanted and everybody in the country wanted. So yeah, that's the right move. It's the correct move. Now I hope it's not something we look up and regret, but we'll see. I think it's not like, again, you cover Ole Miss. You tell us about the job Billy Glasscock did assembling the roster this last year at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the roster speaks for itself. It's fantastic. And Kiffin's the portal king for a reason. He's a guy who can go out and get just about whoever he wants. But at the same time, man, I'll tell you what, I am a huge advocate for Austin Thomas. The work that he does behind the scenes is significant. From a funding perspective, I mean, to flip around LSU's NIL in the way that he did and get their finances in check, to be able to go out and do big game hunting this last portal haul. And sure, from an evaluation perspective, it might not have been there just because all these guys in the 2025 kind of portal cycle didn't necessarily hit, or 2024, whichever kind of way you want to slice it. But sure, a lot of those guys didn't necessarily hit. But to be able to go out and put that money together and swing for the fences like they did, you got to give Austin Thomas a lot of credit. So I do think that that's going to be one that they miss long term. When it comes to AT, I think he's fantastic. And I think Ole Miss's success, you kind of give a little bit of that credit to Austin Thomas to put them in a position to be able to go out and big game hunt. And then give some to Billy Glasscock too. I'm not going to sit back and take it all away from him too, because certainly LSU's about to reap the benefits of having him on staff as well. But definitely I'm going to miss having Austin Thomas on this staff. And I think Ole Miss is going to be getting a really, really good one again.
I love the name Billy Glasscock. We'll say Glasscock all day. Glasscock.
I'm trying not to say it as much.
Nope. We're gonna rock and roll with it, baby. I have a micro rant, and then basically the structure that I have for the rest of the show with my 90 minutes of sleep I'm rolling with is, so how about this guy? Right? Oh yeah, this guy entered the portal. Let's talk about him. And then guys, y'all play the game with me. If you got a name that you saw enter the portal, I might have to. It is a risky endeavor. I might have to pull up the details, because I mean, ultimately there's hundreds of guys entering the portal. We don't know every last one of their names.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, we'll try our best to address them, especially if there's some sort of Louisiana LSU tie there. All that to say, I do have a rant that I actually really want to get out of the way. All right. ESPN posted on their corporate profile today. This is going to be
incredible.
Bill Connolly put together the top-ranked football teams in the playoff era. He ranked all 64 playoff teams since the playoffs started in 2014. Okay. Now, they use a profile picture of the one and only Joe Burrow smoking a cigar, but next to his name is not number 1. It's number 2. And I just want to quickly get this off my chest, because if you have to ask, the answer is no. Usually, as you analyze sports teams, that kind of stuff, the numbers, the stats that people beat on their chest become less impressive as time goes on. For example, look at a guy like LeBron James and his points per game that he's been able to average throughout his unusually long career. It's unbelievable. It's whoa. He is X amount of, he's 40 something years old and he's doing, 27 per game. What? Okay. Pause. Hear me out. the time in which he's playing, right? He's taking a lot of games off. He's meditating. He's resting his body in a way that former players wouldn't. That's the kind of thing I mean. Usually as you layer in context to sports stats, they become less impressive. That's just inherently how most things work, right? With this LSU team, the more you layer in context, the more impressive it gets, and time has aged this team even more. It's aged like fine wine with the context that has flowed in over the years. Let me remind you, and let me give you all the fuel you need for any asshat who wants to go out here and say, well, this team's better. Well, this team's better. LSU beat more top 10 teams than any team in college football history that year, including 2019 Bama with Tua, who, by the way, don't give me he wasn't healthy. He threw for 400 yards. Get that out of here, okay? By the way, 2019 Bama was effectively 2020 Bama, only better, okay? These teams, LSU didn't just play and beat these 7 top 10 teams. They beat the hell out of them, guys. They beat 5 of the final top 8. So LSU's number 1. Okay, there's only 7 other top 8 teams. LSU beat 5 of them by an average margin of victory of 19.6 points per game. Also, worth noting, all the games you want to put, well, this game was close, Preston. Well, that game, LSU beat Bama by 5 points. Hey, guess what? Bama added a backdoor late touchdown. Guys, if you know anything about football, you know a game that's, okay, it's 2 scores, it's under control, and they add a late touchdown, and they're praying for an onside kick. That's not actually a 5-point loss. That's we were playing conservative defense, and you took advantage and got a late touchdown to make it look better on paper. LSU, if LSU hadn't kneeled the ball out, LSU would have marched that damn ball right down the field and punched it in again. You were not stopping Joe Burrow and LSU on that day. LSU played the number 1, the number 3, the number 7, the number 13 defense in the country that year and averaged 42 points per game. 42. Burrow has the most total touchdowns of any player in FBS history. He has the most yards, the only 6,000-yard season in college football. That's with playing the most difficult gauntlet ever. 7 top 10 teams, guys. Guys, let's add in more content. Look what the guys are doing in the NFL. Look, 2020 team. Smitty, great player from a meet. Mac Jones did his thing. Mac Jones is a backup NFL quarterback, guys. A backup. Okay. Smitty, great receiver. He's wide receiver 2 for the Eagles. Okay. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, the only team either of them are going to be wide receiver 2 on is 2019 LSU. That includes all 32 in the NFL. The only way either one of them are your wide receiver 2 is if they're on the same flipping team together. Okay? And the only team that's ever happened with is 2019 LSU. NFL be damn. Okay? LSU beat, and this is as of 2024, so rewind a year ago, beat 3 of the top 4 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, including Jalen Hurts. By the way, the Utah State kid, which nobody ever talks about the Utah State victory. Oh, he's only, what's he doing with the Green Bay Packers? He's top 4 highest paid quarterback there. Nobody talks about that, but LSU handled him, man. He threw 3 picks. Guys, the only reason LSU didn't beat all 4 of the top 4 highest paid quarterbacks is Burrow is the 4th. Okay? So, look, guys, if you have to ask, the answer is no. By the way, 0-1 Miami fans watching, call me when 0-1 Miami beats a team that finished in the top 7. They didn't beat 1, not 1 to finish in the top 7. They played in the Big East. Don't give me, well, Preston, if they didn't score an offensive touchdown, they go 8-4. Did you know that? Have you looked at the NFL? Yeah, I saw Ken Dorsey as their quarterback. I remember what the Big East was like in the 2000s. It was putrid. They lost basically as soon as they were pulling like BCS rights. The Big East was the first to go. You know what they are now? They're I mean, they're effectively Conference USA. Okay, there's a reason all the good teams fled from them because they weren't any good. They stunk. The Big East was putrid back then. That's all you need to know. That stat just tells you they played a putrid schedule. Not one team to finish in the top 7 that they beat. Anyways, all right, ran over. Did I go overboard there, Zach?
You did what you needed to do. I mean, you saw what Bill Connolly did, and Ultimately didn't agree with it. I don't either. No rant from me on this end, just the fact that I personally do think that 2019 LSU is just ridiculous. I mean, from a talent perspective, it's ridiculous. That's the only word that I can use to describe it. So I'm right there with you. It's pretty remarkable that people continue to not necessarily downplay what they did, but I guess maybe take it for granted. Like you said, 7 top 10 wins? That's ridiculous. So I'm right there with you, man.
It's unprecedented is what it is. Okay.
It's unbelievable.
I've actually had some media friends of mine tell me, "Hey, Preston, dude, stop talking about 2019 LSU." And my response is, over my cold, dead, flipping body. Okay.
Yep.
I will always stand on my pad as long as the data and information is there to back my claim. Until someone usurps this team as the greatest team ever to play on the college football field, I'm not letting it die. There's just certain known facts. Stars matter. 2019 LSU was the greatest team of all time. Just certain things like that. Joe Burrow was better than Cam Newton in 2010. I will never.
Oh, that's the one that you like a lot. I was trying to think about it. I was trying to think of that one.
Yeah. Joe Burrow had the greatest and by the way, those are one and the same. Joe Burrow, LSU was the greatest team of all time because Burrow was the greatest player of all time. I'm just never going to back down from those takes. So as long as I have a platform, I will use it to beat on my chest about these. All right, we're going to just basically switch the rest of the show. So how about this guy? And we're going to rock and roll. We will talk about LSU's roster and what they need and all that jazz as well. But here's a really good one from Brad David. Preston, what do you think about TJ Finley getting back in the portal? All right, Zach, are you looking at anything right now on your screen about TJ Finley?
No.
All right. Don't pull any tabs up. Don't cheat. Can you name, this is going to be his 7th team he's going to play. He does have to get a waiver for his year of eligibility. Can you name the 6 football teams in college that he has played for?
I know, dude. I thought that's what you were going to ask. And for me, I mean, LSU,
that's tough.
It's LSU, Western Kentucky, Texas State, Auburn, Georgia State, Tulane.
There it is. That's it.
Remarkable.
Yeah. LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Tulane, and Georgia State. Remarkable. I mean, this has to be a record. I don't know if there's actually been record keeping of how many colleges one college athlete has attended. There's just no flipping way that anybody's topped this. That's remarkable, man. This is one of those things where when people talk about the problem with college football, they dislike. This is it, man. Just total. I don't mind a kid moving around to kind of find a better fit or see whatever this is. I mean, this is clearly just a kid who's like every year one thing goes wrong or wants whatever. He's just going for it. Yeah, no, that's true. He never, but he was on the team, right? Yeah. So, and he did enter the portal, enroll, and then exit the portal for Tulane all in one off season. But clearly this is a situation of a kid who's just, chasing a bag or just not happy with.
Well, I don't mean to sound like maybe like an old head or however people would kind of look at it in this way, but man, high school recruiting right now is so small in its own way now because of the transfer portal. And then you tack on these guys trying to get 7th years of eligibility and, 5-6 different schools. It takes away scholarships from the younger kids who are trying to get on these teams. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. Obviously, this is a Louisiana kid. We want to support him in whichever kind of avenue he goes down. But high school recruiting is already difficult enough right now in this era. And when you have guys trying to get 7th years and even 6 years of eligibility, it makes it that much more difficult. So that's just kind of my perspective on it. I want to see TJ do well, but oh my goodness, man, it's a little ridiculous.
And I've heard that a lot, and even Mike Scarborough sometimes is like, well, does high school recruiting matter as much to winning anymore? Brian Lazar wrote a very interesting column for TigerBait today. Actually, most of the all SEC football players were not from the transfer portal. They were homegrown, right?
I like that.
And if you look at a lot of the great teams, they're supplementing, but like they're still building and retaining their roster.
Well, the only team
through high school
won with double-digit transfers is Ohio State.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, it's pretty much like you said. I mean, you're spot on. It's homegrown.
You talking about won a national championship or one?
Yeah, it's won a
period?
national championship.
All right. Didn't they take 8 players though last year? Am I wrong on that? I think it was 8.
If it's 8, then that's pretty remarkable in itself.
I remember talking to Wilson Alexander about it because he put out a piece on it.
That's what I'm trying to remember. And if it was only 8, then you're right on the money because that's exactly what I was trying to reference.
Right. So Wilson and I talked to Wilson in person. It's like, that sounded fake. He's like, I know it sounded fake to me too, but I look at it. They just added big name players like Caleb Downs in the portal. By the way, another thing I will get on my high.
Oh yeah, the Thorpe, yeah.
Mansour Delane put up among the best cover corner seasons I've ever seen. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't enough to help LSU win more than 7 games, but it was clearly it was a thing of beauty. Okay, I believe he gave up like 200 yards on the season. On his 30% complete. It was fantastic coverage corner. One of the best coverage corners I've ever seen. Now, there's other corners who were about as good in being the position. Patrick Peterson, for one, okay? He was better in coverage than Tyrann Mathieu, but Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, he's a highlight reel in and of himself, right? He didn't make the gaudy, sexy highlight plays, but my God, you just literally you had to throw away from him. Like his half of the field, nah, that's not an option. And then so many times it's like, what was funny is a lot of desperate situations, they would finally test him and then he'd be like, oh yeah, that's why. Game's on the line. We're going to throw to Mansour Delane and gone. He deserves Thorpe. Caleb Downs got a career achievement award. I understand it. LSU has benefited from that before. Grant Delpit did not deserve the Thorpe. He got the Career Lifetime Achievement Award because he was really good as a sophomore. He battled a lot of injury as a junior, and frankly, he was on that 2019 team that, was #1 undefeated. I get it, and that's always going to carry a ton of weight. All right. What do you think about trying to get Trey Holly? Think about trying to get he just asked the same question twice. All right, Trey Holly, and I'm going to look this up real quick. And I told y'all guys, I might have to look up if you're asking specific names. I believe he had 800 yards for Southern this year. Let's see there. He posted on Twitter today, by the way. He says, "I'm a free agent. I'm a walk-on. I'm available." Okay. Number 1, he's got to get his name cleared. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. He in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think his court case has been resolved, right?
I don't think so either. I think that there was that incident where the AC was out in the courthouse and they couldn't go through with his trial or whatever it was that day. But nonetheless, his name hasn't been cleared yet. And this is a guy who did really good in the SWAC this year. So there are going to be potential suitors right there for him. And like he said on Twitter today, he was a walk-on. So he's a free agent. I mean, he can go just about wherever he wants. If he receives that call. But like Preston said, he needs to clear his name first, and then I think those big-time programs will start to give him a call. I mean, this is a Louisiana kind of...
Was he good enough to earn his way back into SEC level?
Absolutely. SEC is a whole different ballgame. But when you look statistically at what he's done, obviously at the high school ranks,
5.1 per carry.
Got an opportunity at Southern, produced. So, look, it might not be SEC ball, but this is a guy who can play some Power 4 football, and I hope he gets that opportunity if everything gets cleared kind of in his favor.
And look, I'll throw another interesting angle at this. Did you see who Southern hired as their new coach?
I love it. I think it's
Marshall
awesome.
Falk. I'm just saying maybe there's a temptation to stick around and play for an NFL legend if all things being equal. I don't know. Look, I mean, Trey Holly, I love the kid as a person. I don't know what his involvement is in the legal altercation. That has to be cleared. It has to be cleared. And I don't know. I've just never seen something just drag out for 2 years like that, the way it is for him. I'm not a legal expert. I don't know. But if he gets cleared, we're talking about a guy now who has an 800-yard season under his belt. You do need depth at the running back spot, okay? There's a good chance you get Keywan Lacey. That's very plausible if Kevin Smith comes. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed thing. I'm just telling you it's on the table, okay? I think you're in good, healthy position to keep Caden Durham and Harlem Berry, albeit both will have suitors willing to pay them good money. So you're going to have to do some work on both of those kids, right? And both of them deserve a spot on the roster for LSU. Both of them are good, especially Caden Durham, if he can get that ankle healthy, because he was not full speed this year. There's just no way. He got caught from behind way too much for being a track star like he is.
Well,
You're going to have
hypothetical at you. If Frank Wilson leaves, and hypothetically, if Ole Miss is the suitor where, he becomes the next running backs coach at Ole Miss, if that does,
which is
happen,
100% plausible, by the way.
Right. Do you think that Harlem Berry would follow him potentially to Ole Miss, or is this one where you think no matter what, Harlem Berry is going to be in the purple and gold in 2026, no matter what? Like, what kind of your perspective be on that? Because look, he hasn't gotten any clarity on his future yet under Lane Kiffin on his staff, and I think if Lane Kiffin was confident in retaining him moving forward, I think there'd be some buzz about this right now. But nonetheless, there hasn't been any clarity on that. And hypothetically, of course, if he lands in Oxford and lands on Pete Golding's staff with Ole Miss, do you think either Durham or Harlem Berry follows him that route?
I want to be respectful of Harlem Berry in this, and consider him with this. I'll say this. Harlem has a great relationship with Frank Wilson, obviously New Orleans guys, that tie. Also, Harlem Berry is a guy who also loves LSU, and, a lot of guys, I don't know this to be fact or fiction, but I do know that there are a lot of players who come to LSU locally who aren't accepting the highest bid. Harlem's a really good kid who loves LSU, and I have to wonder what the situation is there. And certainly Frank Wilson, if he were to do that, he would probably play all his cards there. But I have to imagine that he picked LSU for a reason, and I guess he's probably pretty excited about a Lane Kiffin offense. I can't imagine very many guys aren't excited about that. So look, I'm just going to be respectful to the process, and I'm just laying out the cards that I'm aware of with that. But it could happen. I'm not ruling it off the table. And I think Harlem Berry, of the young guys right now, there's other veteran guys that, yes, obviously like Whit Weeks. Yes, you want to keep Whit Weeks, but if he goes to the NFL, he's a veteran guy. You understand why. I think DJ Pickett, I think Harlem Berry, and I think Trades Green are your three very young players. You gotta, bro, you just gotta, okay? I don't care if Trades Green dropped 50 balls this year. Dude, look at the raw, work on his hands, develop him, okay? He's got
the reason why, like, I sit back and I throw as an honorable mention. I'm not saying he's top 3, must retain, but that's why I throw Carius Kern in there too a little bit, just because I understand it wasn't perfect. It's a true freshman in the SEC. They're going to be growing pains, but this is a guy that if you give him the right developmental pieces, he could be a star on the O-line. So when I think of 3 to 4 guys who you must retain, Harlem Berry's at the top, no doubt. And then, like you said, throw in a Trades, throw in a Carius Kern, throw in all these other guys. Absolutely.
Tyree Adams, maybe. But again, no one on the offensive line played particularly well enough to make me like, bummer, he's gone. Like, okay, well, you really need a stud at left tackle, not like a project player that hopefully a better O-line coach can develop. Like, you need massive reform on your offensive line in a big kind of way, right?
And then, so we were talking about Harlem. I guess might as well throw in some Caden Durham in there too. How would that affect him? Do you think Caden's here? Let's say Frank Wilson is retained, which obviously it doesn't appear that is the case right now, but who knows what happens after the bowl game? Maybe he does. Do you think Caden Durham's here no matter what in 2026? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know that that's true for anybody. I think that, anytime you have a coaching change, I don't think anybody's 100%. I think Caden Durham's a guy you 100% want back. I think Caden Durham loves LSU. But again, he's a guy who suitors are going to want. He's also a guy who needs to get healthy. Yeah. And again, there's another situation. If Kewan Lacey comes to LSU, okay, you've got Kewan Lacey, Harlem Berry. You get what I'm saying? Like maybe he finds himself and by the way, I don't know that Lane Kiffin's looking to do a running back rotation like Frank likes to do. So Frank likes to use 4 guys. Lane Kiffin likes to go with like 1 or 2 guys. Notably this year, Keywan Lacey got just 10 times more carries than the number 2 back. But you also remember Lane Kiffin's offense. Do you remember a duo by the name of Reggie Bush and Lindale White?
Right.
That was Lane Kiffin. Okay.
Right.
He likes to go with the hot hands. And if he's got 2 studs, he will go with 2 studs, but he's going to stick with his studs. He's not going for a big drop off in running back production because, well, this guy, it keeps the legs fresh. Or no, he's like, I'm going to run my studs. Okay. So yes, there is room for multiple players in Lane Kiffin's offense, but typically speaking, it's because that dude's really good. So Darius Geis and Leonard Fournette, he will get the most out of them for sure. Okay. All right. Let's get to a couple more comments here. All right. I actually, John Cisco, if you watch the show, which I appreciate you for commenting, I know I literally asked this question to Zach, but I called it a bad question. I think it's way too early. I don't like answering questions like this before the portal window is open and set, particularly in coaching change years. I mean, right now the answer's under by a lot, right? But I don't think it's going to stay under. I mean, but basically the reason and I've told Mike this, we've actually gotten a fight like on air about this exact concept here before. Basically the reason I dislike this question at this point in the game is like, okay, well, if you roll into the season with 1 quarterback and anything happens to him, you're going to win 3-4 games. And by the way, your emergency quarterback's in the portal, Jawan Johnson. He's gone. So like, I mean, yeah, if Pecorella has to roll out there, Emil Pecorella has to roll out there and be your starting quarterback, that's not good. No offense to him. I'm just saying, like, you don't want to have to turn to a
what are your expectations if you're looking at this 2026 team? I mean, take away
none.
Like today on December 15th, 2025. You think about the hypotheticals of what Lane Kiffin's going to do in the portal. You have to go get 2 quarterbacks. I don't think that there is any exception to that. I think you have to get 2 quarterbacks. So if you go in and you get some quarterbacks, you go get a couple dudes.
Well, who are the 2 quarterbacks? Who are the 2 quarterbacks, though?
And that's where it gets tricky. I mean, look, we'll pull this.
We get Fernando Mendoza. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look, a super chat. Look at you on it.
Would like
well, that fits perfectly in here. Sam Levitt. Yeah, Sam Levitt comes to all of a sudden the expectation changes quite a bit. I am curious as to how well Sam Levitt would fit into Lane Kiffin's offense. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think he's a really good quarterback.
I think I agree. And I think there's any quarterback, Lane Kiffin.
I'm also not sure about the foot injury that he has, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's another. Hey,
for spring ball. So
very real factor. Very real factor there.
And look, I have this up here that I was thinking about too. And it seems like it's going to be pretty much a done deal elsewhere. But Brendan Sorsley, the Cincinnati quarterback.
Yeah, the Cincinnati guy.
Man, would he fit into this Lane Kiffin system like a glove? So if we're going to sit here and we're going to talk quarterbacks for a minute or two, the 3 that you want to sit here and talk about, of course, Sam Levitt, DJ Lagway, and Sorsby. I think that those are 3 guys.
So you don't want to talk about TJ Finley coming?
Never am I going to say TJ Finley's name again on this show. I'm done. Go to Indeed.com and get things rolling there.
Oh, damn. Indeed.com.
I think that those are just the 3 that, everybody's going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks up until this portal ultimately opens. I think Sorsby, a lot of buzz on social media. It's not sourced. Talking about Texas Tech potentially being an option for him there.
Right.
Lagway obviously is one where LSU is probably going to try to get involved there, but how involved will they be? That's where it gets a little bit tricky. And then Levitt, I can't wait to see what happens there. I think he's going to get paid a tremendous bag. Is LSU willing to give him that bag? That's where time will kind of tell on that front. But this team is going to be getting 2 quarterbacks at minimum.
S. Young, and we're going to talk more on quarterbacks. We're not ending this conversation by any stretch of the imagination. There's tons of names we'll talk about. I agree with you, Brendan Sorsby, in terms of fit and what he can do. By the way, good quarterback, 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,800 yards for Cincinnati this year. Added another 600 yards on the ground. I mean, and 9 touchdowns. I mean, talk about fit. That guy would fit very well.
Ideal.
LSU has proven they can go on a dynasty run in baseball. Can football do the same? Well, first off, I think baseball's starting to prove they can go on multiple dynasty runs, because I think they're right in the middle of one right now with what Jay Johnson is doing. I'll tell you what, I think when Jacques Doucet did an interview with Jay Johnson talking about Lane Kiffin, and based on his comments, it's a good endorsement. I mean, certainly I believe LSU, with the right leadership, right coach, and right organization and structure, is a program with as elite resources as anybody in the country, right? It's going to be right up there, Georgia, Ohio State, right? And all these other teams, right? I actually think LSU has more natural advantages than Alabama. Natural advantages. Now, Alabama has history, which is an earned advantage. Understand the difference of what I'm saying here. But in terms of just being able to reach in your backyard and say, hey, the number one player in the country at U High, come on, brother. Who else are you going to go? You want to stay home? We're the ones. Come on. You know, like there's no other Power 5 team around. And in fact, the Power 5 teams in neighboring states geographically are stretched. Like both the schools in Mississippi are up north. Houston just became a Power 5 team, so they're far. So like Austin is very far away from like New Orleans and stuff. Like if you're a New Orleans or Baton Rouge kid, which is where a lot of this talent is congregated, you have to go basically 300 or miles or more to find the next like elite Power 5 program. So it's possible. Sure. I'm not saying Lane Kiffin will do it. I think Lane Kiffin will be exciting his whole time. I think he has the ceiling to get it done. There's no doubt in my mind he's a coach with a very, very high ceiling. We're just looking to see if that maturity and that consistency and in-game management is going to be good enough. And then if once he gets something rocking and rolling, is he going to stick around long enough? So that's how I'll answer that. He's, sure, LSU's got the tools to do it, but also football's tough, man. It's so tough, man, because everybody wants to win at the highest level in football. Look, let's do a quick ad break, and then we'll get back to, hey, just name that dude. Let's talk about that dude, man. So before we go too much further, Lane Kiffin's got some great work to do working this portal to get his program wired for success. Well, you don't have to go through great strides to get your home wired for success. Just give my friends Dykes Electrical, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com, a call to get yourself wired for success. Whether you need lights on Tiger Stadium or just a humble little TigerBait studio like what I've got here, they're the company to get you wired for success. 10-story office building, they can wire that. 200 square foot warehouse you need built, they can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, they can wire that. Changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office, they can wire that. Upgrading old lighting in your home or office, they can wire that. Guys, if you're unsure if you need something wired, just ask your wife. I promise you she'll be like, oh yeah, the dinghy outside, the TV outside outlet's been out for 6 years. Look at you taken care of. Guys, their project started like $250. I mean, it is not like you don't have to have a major corporate thing. They'll come out and take care of your small hodgepodge projects for you, and they'll do it the right way. Give them a call today, the number on your screen, 225-216-9180, for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And guys, I got to talk about my friend Struby's. All TigerBait live shows are proudly brought to you this football season by Struby's Seafood and Steaks, located on 107 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Struby's prides itself on providing a 5-star dining experience at a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned with ownership in the building, taking a daily level of pride in the food or service that you just don't see from any old corporate establishment. Struby's features a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA prime Black Angus steaks and 100% certified Wagyu New York strip, which, by the way, if you go there, I've officially determined that's the best steak. Get some hollandaise sauce on it. That's my favorite. For those looking for something outside of red meat, they offer items such as the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Book your reservation online at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. Guys, I went to Alumni Hall this weekend, okay, and I found dozens and dozens and dozens of the Blake Baker Bayou Bandits shirt. Y'all make sure to check them out. Guys, it's incredible. They got all sorts of Christmas gear in, and they have a special promo code going on, Holly Jolly. Okay, they're going to give you 20% off your order until Christmas. Okay, It's holly jolly. Guys have got it all. Nike, Champion, Johnny O, Honor Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, hats, Yetis, gifts, accessories. Shop their store in Perkins Row or shop online anytime at alumnihall.com. All right, guys, and remember, if you're going to shop for a new car, dealers choose to put their money in places, and whether some people support the Tigers, some people don't. Some people like to say they support the Tigers, some people like to back it up with their money. Guys, Matt Bowers, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram supports the Tigers every day. They have an awesome NIL deal with LSU tight end Tradez Green. Also have an NIL deal with Elijah Haven here in town, Dunham High School. By the way, shout out to Mr. Elijah Haven and his excellent father, Mr. Kwame, Neil Weiner and company. 62 touchdowns this year, LHSAA passing record. They, of course, redeemed themselves. They lost in the state championship last year, and they go back and redeem themselves, winning a state championship this year. So shout out to the number one player in the class for 2027, Elijah Haven. Guys, anyways, Matt Bowers, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, on Airline Highway near Behringer Foreman has an awesome NIL deal. Guys, you're not going to beat the quality service they do at their dealership, and they offer a lifetime powertrain warranty on all new vehicles. As much as you're paying for a new vehicle nowadays, keep it for a long time, never have to worry about their powertrain. Shop them online today at mattbowerscdjr.com.
What's up, Tiger Nation? It's Tradez Green. Go see my friend Matt Bowers when you need your next ride.
Get Matt's lifetime powertrain warranty included with every new vehicle purchase.
Shop smart. Buy local. Matt Bowers, CDJR, Baton Rouge.
All righty. Thank y'all for listening. Let's go back to tonight's game of Name That Dude. R. Penn Baker for 199 Super Chat says, what about the line? All right. Trying to figure out what he means. D-line, O-line, the game line. What you think he means, Zach?
O-line.
Probably O-line. Yeah, O-line. Let's talk O-line. And look, give me a comment if I'm messing up which line you're talking about. I'll try to see if you put something in here. Anyways, O-line needs some work. Tyree Adams is a project player. I mean, he showed you some flashes this year. Certainly when he got hurt, it got worse. Carius Kern is a guy who you might want to develop. Solomon Thomas is a guy who's redshirting. I'd like to see what he brings. Of course, former 5-star guy. But ultimately, the offensive line, this was the worst that I can remember. I mean, Zach, can you recall a worst offensive line at LSU?
I mean, statistically, it was the worst O-line I can remember. Off the top of my head, I mean, Weston Davis at the right tackle spot was abysmal this year. Your interior offensive line had no push at all. Even when Garrett Nussmeier was there, we know that there were struggles in kind of making the plays, but there was not time for plays to develop. So it was an organizational failure in that regard. So, yeah, when we talk about what about the O-line, tell you what, brutal. And now you get to go into the transfer portal and regroup right now with Lane Kiffin. And it's an exciting time. A lot of guys are bouncing, and it frees up roster spots for Lane Kiffin and new offensive line coach Eric Walford to really go out there and try to get some new guys and try to build within. So I'm excited to see what they can do from here. I think the transfer portal is going to be a really big opportunity for them to rebuild this spot. I don't see that many people that you can develop at this point. I think Carius Kern's the one that I've sat back and kind of given him the benefit of the doubt. But other than that, throw in maybe a Solomon Thomas, and maybe you could find one or two more. But you're going to have to pretty much rebuild that group from the ground up.
Pretty much. Eric Walford has either the hardest or second hardest job on the team between him and quarterback. It is just a brutal position. He finds himself. Thoughts on the Walford hire? Were you big on that?
Yeah, I think it's one that I didn't see quite coming.
Neither.
I thought that they would potentially go up and get his guy from Ole Miss, but nonetheless, here we are. You go and get Walford from Kentucky. It's an SEC hire, one that's been around the SEC game for quite some time. Ties to Nick Saban, of course. Maybe Saban put in a good word to Kiffin about that. But nonetheless, one that caught me off guard, but he can recruit pretty well. So now you got to go out and kind of prove it and go and get some guys. But recruiting for me, and I think this is probably what you were going to say too, recruiting isn't really the problem when it comes to LSU. It's a developmental piece. So if you can develop, man, you're in business, and you're going to put yourself in a really good spot in 2026.
Walford, the big endorsement for him is he was a Saban hire, and we see what the Saban coaching tree. That's not to say Saban can't miss on a hire, but his last offensive line in Alabama, I think they gave up 50 sacks. And you can blame, what was the quarterback's name? Help me, the fast guy. Anyways, the guy I hate on more than anybody else. Jalen Milroe. Okay, you can blame Milroe all you want for that. At the same time, 50 is a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
This offensive line for Kentucky wasn't particularly, it is a concerning thing, but I'm hoping that he has something that he can prove me wrong. Okay. But I am mildly concerned about that spot. Ultimately, I think at a bare minimum, you need 3 workhorse stud offensive linemen. Okay. And basically you're hoping to keep Braylon Moore. You're hoping to keep Tyree Adams. You're hoping that Solomon Thomas and or Carius Kern have that second year development bump and they're ready to go. You're hoping that the coach is better developing the talent. And then you're hoping those 3 guys can be studs. I think that's the minimum that you need at that spot. Another super chat from S. Young. Who is your number 1 quarterback for LSU? All right, let's peel this sucker back. I think we talked about Swordsby, and I think it's very possible he could be the number 1 now. Ultimately, the number 1 guy is whoever Lane Kiffin evaluates and sees. Trinidad Chambliss would probably be, if I had to pick any of them, because I've already seen what he can do in Lane Kiffin's system, he'd be there. But Trinidad Chambliss doesn't have that NFL upside. Zach, do you have a name you want to throw out there before I go on to just name all the dudes?
Yeah, like a minute ago, we were talking about DJ Lagway, Sam Levitt, Sorsby, obviously Trinidad Chambliss right now. For one, really, that isn't getting that much kind of recognition right now, but I think he will if or when he enters the portal. It's going to be North Carolina State quarterback C.J. Bailey. I really think that this is a guy who could really,
hasn't announced yet, though, right?
He hasn't yet, and I think that if and when he does, this could be one that's going to receive quite the payday wherever he lands. Again, hasn't entered the portal yet. Who knows? Maybe he elects to stay. We saw kind of a quote-unquote boneheaded decision in Lenore Sellers staying with South Carolina. So who knows? Maybe C.J. Bailey stays with North Carolina State. But for me, I'll tell you what, C.J. Bailey's a dude. He's like 6'5". I'm not going to say, and trust me, I'm not putting them in the same category, but when you look at a body style, he gives me Jaden Daniels vibes in that kind of regard. So for me, man, I think you put him in a Lane Kiffin type system. My goodness gracious. I think C.J. Bailey could be an absolute dude. He's so talented. And the numbers don't necessarily jump off the page. But when you look at him, you don't look at it and say, oh, this is a guy who deserves to get paid millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the game speaks for itself. And you're playing on an NC State team that doesn't necessarily have the weapons that a team like LSU or Ole Miss or whoever else in the SEC would have. You give him those weapons, you give him that supporting cast. I think C.J. Bailey could be a dude and one that I really am intrigued to see where he ultimately lands. He's a stud.
DJ Lagway is not a guy I hate. Now, a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but number 1, he's proven to be able to get the ball to LSU players. But number 2, he has elite arm talent. Okay, he does. It's not like, yes, he has interception issues. I think a lot of that is coaching and system. I really genuinely do. I think that he has a strong arm and he has an accurate arm and he's a young player. A lot of young players just need that development. I think LSU has a system where he can develop, especially if DJ Lagway is willing to come in and say, okay, LSU's going to sign a 1-year rental player, say maybe like even a Sam Levitt, Trinidad Chambliss. Hey, DJ, are you going to have some humility and say, look, you're going to go from being a starter, a struggling starter, to we're going to sit back 1 year and learn? That could do him a lot of good. Okay. I would love to see that. Another name that we haven't mentioned, Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola is set to enter the transfer portal. I'm a little surprised that didn't come up. You're shaking him off. Is there a reason you're nodding him off? You don't like him?
I'm not a fan. Really? I think, like we were talking about with Lagway.
Is it the Mahomes cosplay?
That's ridiculous. But I'll tell you what, if you give this guy the proper developmental coaching that he needs, he has the arm talent, like you just said with Lagway. But his pocket presence to me is just so lackadaisical, whatever the word is. That's what it reminds me of. But again, you put him in a system where he can develop and try to find that next step in his game and take it up a notch. Sure. I mean, this is a guy who has talent. I don't think that this is an LSU type of guy. Who knows? There's buzz on social media about Oregon. Maybe Miami tries to take a swing. But I don't think this is one that you want to go and kind of break the bank for, especially when you're going to have a quarterback market that's pretty remarkable.
Marshall Reed is a name that Bo Swindle. So here's the thing about Marshall Reed. Is he even going to enter the portal, or are we just naming like best players in the country?
I think we're just naming names at this point. I think he was even on RG3's podcast.
He was
last week, where it was kind of, if a team offers him $4 million, whatever the number might be, A&M will match that, and he wants to be there. So yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. But I'll be damned if Lane Kiffin gets his hands on Marcel Reed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd love Marshall Reed. Are you kidding me? Like, that'd be incredible. But like, is it going to happen? I just don't even know if he's and do you think Texas A&M is going to lose a guy for money? You know what I mean? Like,
Precisely.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. S. Young says Lagway's. I like that. Like, what commenters are starting to learn is like they can just keep on hitting us with the super chat. They can dominate.
Keep rolling, man.
Abuse the system, my guy.
I'll take this one though, Preston.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, Lagway's decision making is even worse than Nuss. You can't fix that, and I'm right there with you. Now, I think that when you look at a touchdown to interception ratio of 16 to 14, it's pretty damn bad. And 5 of them came in one game against LSU. So I think that decision making is a problem. I think that there could be an opportunity where he goes to one of these potential suitors, like maybe a Baylor, maybe a TCU, maybe one of these Texas teams that aren't in the SEC, to where he's not necessarily getting exposed every single game, and he can have an opportunity to develop. I think DJ Lagway has the kind of intangibles to be a really good quarterback, but you got to try to fix this decision making. And even if you're at a 10 and you need to bring it down to a 7, I think that puts you in a really good spot. So some team's going to get a pretty good quarterback in DJ Lagway. Intrigued to see how deep LSU dives into it, because of course Lane Kiffin is a quarterback whisperer. Who knows? Maybe he can get him to reach that potential. But that decision making is definitely worse than Nuss, in my opinion, and clearly S. Young 3512. But we'll see. Maybe if he goes to the right system, like Preston said, and he gets the opportunity to develop, who knows? Maybe he could reach that potential.
I concur that his decision-making is currently worse than Garrett Nussmeier's. It's worse than Nussmeier's has ever been, by the way. Even like freshman Nussmeier, who was just going out there and throwing Hail Marys. It's 1st and 4, my guy. You got a penalty and you're showing out. You're just throwing into triple coverage. Yes, it's worse than Nussmeier's has ever been. That being said, the physical gifts and talents are much better than Nussmeier's, and I do disagree that decision-making – you can't fix that. I do think you can fix that. I think you can simplify the scheme. I think a lot of good systems are 2-read systems. Okay. And it's like, okay, 1, 2, not there, throw the ball away or take it and run, by the way. A lot of RPOs can fix that, by the way. I'm just saying, yes, decision-making, I think you can coach that. That's like one of the few things you can fix. You can't coach a guy being able to throw the ball 40 yards accurately on the run. No. But you can, I do think you can fix that. I'm not saying it's 100% fixable. I'm not even saying that. I will tell you, Lane Kiffin retweeted the announcement of DJ Lagway.
He's such an elite troll. Like, it is unreal.
How many times has he retweeted you so far?
4.
Wow, look at my boy. I got a retweet the other day. I was like, well, yeah, there we go. But yes, here's a comment here. Preston could turn, Lane Kiffin could turn Preston into a serviceable QB. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Now, Preston doesn't have the physical tools, but you get the point. Hit the like button, y'all. Look, I'm going to get to one final ad break, and we're going to talk about a few more guys and try to wrap up the show. If you got something you want before the show ends, make sure to just abuse the system, guys. Get a super chat in. So let's talk about our final set of partners here. As soon as I find their ad here, guys. One thing we try to do with all of our TigerBait sponsors is partner with locally owned businesses we've experienced firsthand and we know we can endorse to provide an outstanding experience for our listeners. Capital City Grill fits that role perfectly. Located on 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge, Capital City Grill is your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience downtown. Capital City Grill features a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pasta, steaks, plenty more with almost everything priced at $30 or below for an affordable downtown experience. Don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And book your reservation online tonight at capitalcitygrill.net. Guys, please let them know TigerBait was the one to send you in. And guys, we got to talk about my friends Genesis of Lafayette, the premier luxury dealership offering the finest cars and SUVs in the region. Guys, just look at these special promo rates they're doing, 0.99, 1.99, 2. You're not going to beat that. The rates are just, in this market, you will not beat those. Guys, all these rates are coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. For a truly first-class automotive experience, it's Genesis of Lafayette, 6600 Johnston Street, here to exceed your expectations. Genesis of Lafayette. Shop us online at genesisoflafayette.com. Give us a call, 877-856-2961. Can y'all tell I'm working on about 90 minutes of sleep? Let them know. TigerBait sent you in. And guys, let's see. Do I have one that talks about energy here? I bet you I have a few different reads here. Let's see here. Here we go. Low energy, low drive. Rejuvenate Medical offers testosterone therapy that helps you get back to feeling strong, sharp, and confident. Kick the fatigue curb. Visit rejuvenemedical.com today. Maybe if I had done that, I would be more awake and alert for this show right now.
I decided to go to Rejuvenate Medical because I saw my energy going down, my weight going up, and my sex drive just wasn't what it used to be. I saw my energy level go up almost immediately. My weight loss, it took about a month and a half. I feel the best I've felt in a long time.
And guys, TigerBait fans, get ready. Bay's Oyster Bar is now open, 315 North Boulevard in downtown Baton Rouge. They're serving up the freshest farm-raised oysters from Grand Isle. No bud, no grit, just clean, delicious flavor. Not into oysters? Swap in boiled shrimp or try their turkey brie and bacon sandwich, even a classic roast beef po' boy. They will also be featuring a bar fully stocked with top-notch bourbon, whiskey, and craft beer. Don't miss out on Baton Rouge's newest oyster spot, and make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. Alrighty, let's see here. More of Name That Guy. I still agree with Ruffin. Levitt seems to be the guy that does really well. Yeah, I mean, look, Levitt, we talked about fit. Obviously, he's very accomplished, led his team to the college football playoff last year. He did have Cam Scattaboo helping him do it, though. Fit. Is he mobile enough? Is he going to recover from that injury? All these things play a role here, but he's certainly a big name. Benny Machida, Austin Simmons has not declared for the portal yet, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's a reason Lane Kiffin liked him. He's good, but I think we saw he maybe wasn't as good as Chambliss, right? Any thoughts on? I mean, you covered Austin Simmons for the first few games this year, Zach. What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he was a young quarterback, and it showed. I mean, he is still, 19, 20 years old, even though he's been within that system for 3 years. He was making those kind of rookie mistakes, and you saw him throw a couple interceptions against, non-power 4 teams, and you saw him make those mistakes against lower-level competition. So from a decision-making perspective, Austin Simmons isn't quite there yet, and you saw Trinidad really get the reins and not let them go. I mean, he just continued to ascend more and more, and ultimately that's why he continued to keep that starting gig. Even when Simmons did get back from that ankle injury. So at the end of the day, Simmons still has some growth to do from a decision-making perspective, and that's only going to improve with in-game situations. So we'll see. If he stays at Ole Miss, I think he's going to be in a really good spot. They have a new offensive coordinator now who believes in Austin Simmons, so I'm intrigued to see what happens there. But I don't think this is one that people are kind of forgetting about. I think if he does enter the portal, I think Lane Kiffin would certainly give him a look and then some, but we'll see what happens after the college football playoff.
Terry Delahousse says he agrees with me. Lagway is fixable. And I want to clarify when I say he's fixable. It's possible to fix him, and it's possible to get an elite NFL-bound quarterback. It's also possible it crashes and burns. Like, you get what I mean? Like, yeah, it's totally within the realm of like, yeah, also Lane Kiffin wasn't able to. I'm not saying Lane Kiffin will fix every single quarterback, but it doesn't. I mean, when was the last time Lane Kiffin had a quarterback that was just objectively bad? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, he's a quarterback whisperer. Like, this is a guy who clearly we're looking at it right now. And I know Trinidad Chambliss is a diamond in the rough here, but I mean, my goodness, you turn a Division II player into a top 10 Heisman Trophy, a guy who is in the top 10 of the Heisman Trophy voting. I mean, my goodness. So the proof's in the product. He can turn Trinidad Chambliss into kind of a Heisman Trophy type of guy. Who knows what he could do with a player like Sam Levitt or, Sorsby from Cincinnati right here on this question, etc. So, yeah, he's a quarterback whisperer. He can turn pretty much anything into something special.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you, Esong. I mean, Sam Levitt or the Sorbat, I mean, both are good players. You'd be happy to get either one of them, particularly they're both older players, right? And that would mean if you bring in, you might be able to bring him and Alagwe. And by the way, I think you need 3 quarterbacks this year, right? Because you didn't.
I said at least 2. I think 3 is still within reason.
2 is if you keep Michael Van Buren.
Though, is where it gets kind of tricky.
2 is if you keep Michael Van Buren. Okay, that's a luxury thing. Another name to enter the portal today, I'm surprised no one has mentioned yet. And by the way, I got one more colossal name to talk about after this name. Kai Bates, DB, Florida State. He was an LSU commit. Surprised nobody brought him up.
Yeah, that recruitment was something. That recruitment was something.
One tackle this year, by the way.
Yeah, LSU had him for the most part. Obviously, Florida State got him over the finish line and whatnot. It was one hell of a recruitment. We'll see where he ultimately lands. I'm not quite sure what happens with him. Maybe LSU gets involved again. Who knows? But yeah, one hell of a recruitment.
Now, here's a name that I'm actually really shocked nobody has brought up, okay? Bryce Underwood. Okay, well, we all know.
Up here a little bit, yeah.
Oh, someone did mention him? Okay, all right. Well, if you can find it, put it on the screen. We'll give my guy credit, whoever got it in there. But Bryce Underwood, he had a really underwhelming season. I think it was like 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, something like that. And he started all these games, threw for like 2,000 yards. Partially it's because, there's not very many true freshman quarterbacks, right, who go out and ball out year one. We've all known that. I think I would have expected more along the lines of like 2,800 yards and, 17 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. That's more of what you kind of like the Peyton Manning stat line when he was a rookie in the NFL. Just tons of yards, tons of points, tons of interceptions. You lost a lot of games, right? We didn't really see that. We saw more cool calculated. I haven't watched a ton of Bryce Underwood film, admittedly. But your thoughts on Bryce Underwood, does he look like a bust or does he just look like he wasn't ready yet? Do you know what I'm saying?
And I think also in this comment right here, meant to say Underwood nonetheless. But I think you're looking at a quarterback that was in an offense that primarily likes to run the ball. So it didn't necessarily give him the opportunities to air that thing out and do what he does best. So I think he was in an offense this year that didn't give him the opportunity to shine. But, man, this is a true freshman playing Power 4 football. They don't always pan out in year one. It takes time to develop. Not everybody's going to be like Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson. That's an outlier. So I really do think that Bryce Underwood obviously is going to be a stud. This is a really good quarterback. And, again, fascinated to see what happens if he enters the portal, man. I'll tell you what, this is a guy who's obviously going to demand some big-time money. But he also reclassed. I mean, he's just turned 18, Preston. He turned, 18 in August.
Well, that's another factor in this, too. He's a very young quarterback.
This is a kid who's supposed to be playing high school ball right now. So at the end of the day, he's going to kind of mature both on and off the field. Bryce Underwood's going to be a stud. And if he enters the portal, a ton of potential suitors. Obviously, right now, he's still with Michigan, so there's not much speculation we can do on that front.
Sure.
But this is a dude, man. Just an absolute dude.
Absolutely. And look, worth noting about Bryce Underwood as well, he's also has years. You get what I mean? Like, it would be totally feasible to bring him in, right? Now, of course, I think the NIL money you'd have to bring in a Bryce Underwood is like unbelievable, but he has no buyout according to reports out there. And, if he were willing to sit back and learn from a 1-year rent-a-player, that'd be a great guy to sit around. And my guy Bo Swindle for putting him out there. I think LSU would go after him, but I think the deal at Michigan is like guaranteed. Like there's somewhere in the ballparks like $3 to $5 million a year, and I don't know that LSU or anybody is willing to pay $3 to $5 million a year for him to come right now and be a backup and develop. I don't think he showed enough to justify that. S. Young with a super chat here. I want the Texas linebacker. He's talking about LaFau, who had 68 tackles this year. Yeah, especially Harold Perkins accepted an invite to was it East West Shrine Bowl or was it Reese's Senior Bowl? Anyways, he accepted an invite to one of these Senior Bowl games, so all expectations are that he will declare for the draft early, and he's going to forfeit that unless something changes. Obviously, it's not official yet, but he did accept the invite, so that all signs point to him leaving. Whit Weeks, we haven't heard anything from him yet, but certainly he'd be a really good player. I think LSU will want him. I think everybody will want him. Typically, when a guy is a multi-year starter at a program like that, and he enters the portal, he's looking for a payday. You know what I mean? Have you had a chance to watch it? Do you have any comments on Leono LaFau?
I mean, he's a dude and he's going to go get paid. I mean, ultimately, I'm not quite sure why he's leaving Texas. I think that's a little bit of a head scratcher. I think people
I just gave you the head scratching.
In Texas, I mean, it's a head scratcher, but
they have money. But that doesn't mean they want to give him the money.
On that. I think this is a guy who's going to want to try to go get a bag, and
sure,
who gives it to him.
Allegedly, Lane Kiffin has 30 million bags to be handed out, so we'll see how that goes. Another R. Penn Baker, another system abuser here with the super chats. Thank you for abusing my system. Do we actually need new receivers? All right, let's tackle this in earnest real quick. Let's look at our receivers real quick. Now, Aaron Anderson accepted an invite to the East West Shrine Bowl. Okay, so writing on the wall is that he will be gone. So Aaron, that's a big
right now, Preston. I mean, you have right now on this roster, you have 5 wide receivers that are coming back. It's
really
it's Phillip Wright, Teron Francis, Nick Anderson, and then you can look at a couple other guys like Destin Hill, and then there's one more off the top of my head that I can't quite remember. But Aaron Anderson accepted that invite to go to the East West Shrine Bowl. Chris Hilton
should be
out
gone,
of eligibility. Right. Barry Brown out of eligibility. Avion Thomas out of eligibility. So Kylan Billiot, Jelani
Watkins. Yeah.
So you're losing 6 to 7, 8 wide receivers already to the portal in the draft.
Yeah.
You look at guys that are coming back. It's 2 true freshmen in Teron Francis and Phillip Wright, an unproven guy in Destin Hill, Nick Anderson, the saga that continues to give, and then a couple other guys, man. So it's pretty slim pickings right now. And so to answer that question, Penn Baker, you got to go hit the portal with force at the receiver position. You got to go find a true gamer to go there, and then some kind of supporting cast members, maybe 2 other guys. So, they're going to reconstruct that room, and a guy to keep a kind of close tab on would be Winnie Watkins over there at Ole Miss. He's a true freshman, a guy that Lane Kiffin really likes. A lot of people are talking about Chambliss and Kawan Lacey and whatnot, but I'd be surprised to not see Winnie Watkins enter the portal. Maybe LSU could go and try to scoop him. But nonetheless, I think he departs Ole Miss, and if LSU expresses some interest there, I wouldn't be shocked to see those 2 parties kind of meet and make it happen.
I'm also going to throw another name in the mix there for receiver. Jabari Mack is a stud, dude.
Love Jabari Mack. Oh,
from
my goodness.
Destrehan, absolute stud. Corey Barber is a guy who Lane Kiffin loved at Ole Miss and brought him with him. And Braden Allen, a guy who was going to Oklahoma. Now, he's not highly rated. He's a 3-star guy. But at Lafayette Christian, put up a monster season, really kind of emerged late. That's a guy, I mean, you are bringing 3 guys in. So you got the 5 plus that. I don't think depth is necessarily I think you need just veteran quality talent. And
need some dudes.
Obviously, and I'm looking at Teron Francis one a lot when I say this. You need one of these guys to emerge.
There's the name right there. Here, I'll give some credit here. Kyle Parker. That's the one that I forgot. And you know what? That's a damn shame of me, Preston, because I feel like Kyle Parker's always kind of that forgotten wide receiver. Obviously, he dealt with that tricep injury in 2024 and didn't necessarily get the opportunities in 2025. But Kyle Parker, man, I'm not sure this will be a 700 to 1,000-yard receiver anytime in his LSU career, and surprise me, maybe he is. But this is a gamer. This is a guy who I really like, and shame on me for forgetting him. So a good pull, Rick. That's my fault on that.
It is funny. It's like, LSU in a lot of positions is actually not that bad of shape. D-line, not bad, although you need some veteran guys. Linebacker, doing pretty good there. DB even, you might need to add a guy or 2. It's really like the offense that needs help. And a lot of these positions are like the Lane Kiffin sexy, right? Like you're a quarterback, dude, you want to come play for Lane Kiffin. Receiver, you want to come play for Lane Kiffin. Now running back, you're actually in really good shape, but you need depth. But that's another spot you want to come play for Lane Kiffin. Obviously, offensive line is probably your second biggest need. But, I mean, that's not necessarily Lane Kiffin's forte or sexiness, but it's still like, hey, you get to be in a pretty good offensive system here. So, yes, we'll continue to bust the tracks of the transfer portal. It's going to continue to stay busy. I'm very interested. Lane Kiffin is a proven portal worker. I think that the reason he's coming to LSU is he gets better high school recruiting and a better footprint of guys like the guys you miss in Louisiana. They're now, you have a nice little fingerprint of guys you can go after and target with connections. But he also has a giant bag, $30 million allegedly, to work with the portal. We're going to continue to track that. I think it's just going to be more chaos and madness. I think LSU is definitely going to continue to lose guys to the portal. I don't think it's going to be as wild as it was in 2021 because NIL has turned the corner. These guys are now locked into contracts and deals, and it's just got a little bit more structure than we had previously. And I think also there's a level of hype, people buying into Lane Kiffin, that's going to keep it more stable. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep on rolling. We'll be back next Monday here at 8 p.m. on the TigerBait YouTube channel. Let's see, 22nd. We're in the clear. No Christmas, no bowl game, right? So we are A-OK in the clear for next Monday at 8 p.m. Y'all make sure to subscribe to the show, okay? Hit the bell to get our live notifications. We only go live 2 or 3 times a week max. We're not going to blow you up 40 times a week, so there's no reason not to hit that bell. Y'all make sure to give Zack a follow. Again, he's so interesting that LSU's head football coach has retweeted him 4 times. 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. That's at Nagy20. You know what's really cool about his Twitter, actually? Do you remember how many followers you had when you started doing this show, 3 years ago, whatever?
Yeah, man. Over the last couple of years, it's definitely blown up a good bit. I don't put that much out there nowadays. I definitely blow up the business page. That's LSU at LSU Tigers SI.
Yeah.
But that's really where I put a lot of the content. But I'll tell you what, man, that following is definitely growing a good bit.
You're up to 7,000 followers. When you started this, you had 1,000 followers. And I'm not taking all the credit for having you on the show. I'm just telling you, it's cool to see man, he's kind of progressed, put himself out there. He's quality, not quantity. I am quantity. If I have a thought, I put it on Twitter. This guy does not. So y'all make sure to go give him a follow, support all his work. It's great work he's doing for Sports Illustrated. Y'all make sure to tune into TigerBait.com. We'll continue rocking and rolling. I thank y'all for watching tonight, guys. We'll see y'all next week.